our program that we're actually crafting will allow graduates of the 12-year program, high school program, to actually be absorbed by the BPOs. In a sense, they will actually have those competencies. But when they go to college, the general education will hopefully be on even a higher level, Your Honor. So we are currently crafting the program. We could present to you an advanced copy of what we're working on. But essentially, it will not be just transferring the college courses to high school. It will also take into consideration job placement and the different needs of society at this time.
You mentioned the BPO, Mr. Secretary. About 60% of the BPOs are call centers. A good percentage for IT, for animation, for medical transcription, engineering, etc., etc. What are we going to address here? Call centers, or are we going to address the entire BPO package, as you mentioned? Because the problem in the BPO right now is that we're supposed to be an English-speaking country, but only about 5–7% are acceptable by the standards of English-speaking as far as call centers are concerned. What would be the target output with that program that you have in mind, Mr. Secretary?
Your Honor, our initial discussions were with the head of the BPOs, but the more focused discussion, because it's easier to deal with, is really with the call centers. And in fact, we have some programs already. It's not called the K+12, but these are very localized, very specific to areas where there is a closer matching between high school graduates and the BPO in terms of their needs. And in partnership with an NGO, they've been working on those types of competencies, especially for call centers. And I have been using that as a pilot test for a K+12 program. And in fact, within a 2-year review of the curriculum, I'm confident that we will be able to at least prepare graduates of the K+12 for at least for a call center group. The other higher order BPOs may require a little more thinking, and we have not, I must admit, we have not had the chance to have a more focused discussions with respect to some of those higher level BPOs.
In other words, your vision here, Mr. Secretary, is that with the kind of reorientation that you have in mind, a high school graduate can meet the standards of the BPOs for call centers.
At the very least, Your Honor, as one. The second level is especially for VocTech high school graduates, that they will be able to start a business of their own because generation of jobs is just one aspect of this. So we imagine that at least some of our high school graduates will not have to be dependent on additional training. But yes, we're looking into all of these other possibilities, including a specialized school for the arts, much like the Makiling experience, where artists can actually become professional artists and actually earn a livelihood for themselves.
Although in the Makiling experience, you're talking of the most expensive school on a per capita basis. I think, Mr. Chairman, I think you're aware that the Makiling school is probably the most expensive per capita of all the SUCs that we have. But going back to the call center, right now, TESDA, for a few weeks of training, and maybe for a cost of 15,000, maybe maximum 30,000, according to them, can provide a very short training program that will make them competent, acceptable for not only call centers, but other BPO skills that I mentioned. I cannot seem to reconcile this with your additional 1 year or 2 years, when in fact TESDA can handle it in a much shorter basis.
Your Honor, we're in very close coordination with TESDA and relatedly with CHED on the K+12 program, because obviously it cannot just be a DepEd proposal. So when we present the whole program, it will include what would be the attendant changes and cooperation with TESDA and also with CHED. But our vision for a high school graduate is not just purely limited to skills. And yes, TESDA can do that, the skills part. But our vision for a Filipino high school graduate of our public schools is that they will also be concurrently also prepared for life in general and for a family. And so we have added, aside from the skills part, all of these other necessary values, as well as capability to, for example, start a business of their own, communication skills, marketing, and the like. So it's a much broader thing, and it's not purely for jobs. It also allows people to have other options. And lastly, the real vision is that there will be no, while there will be a differentiation in terms of the tracks, arts, VocTech, and the like. What we would want is that all high school graduates, regardless of what track they take, will still be college preparatory, so that if they so choose later on, maybe after 2 years of working, they may still be accepted to college. Part of the difficulty now is when we differentiate them early, then a person who chooses a vocational subject may be seen by society as a lesser level. And what we want is that there is an equalizing area here where whether you're an art graduate, a VocTech graduate, or a science high school graduate, you have the option to still finish with a college degree, Your Honor.
Well, I'd like to end, Mr. Chairman, by asking the Secretary to post figures here as far as the burden to the families is concerned. For example, for one person, an additional day in school may mean maybe 100 pesos running cost per day. Over a 300-day period, that's quite a lot of money, and we're talking of 400,000, let's say 200,000, whose graduation will be delayed. My computation indicates that it might amount to something like 6 billion pesos that the various families will have to shoulder, combined with the delay in the income stream that would come in with an earlier graduation. And the income stream is going to be much bigger, because if we're assuming, for example, an income of 300 pesos per day for a graduate, that delay will translate into a much bigger figure, probably about 20 billion for that family. That is going to be a considerable amount. Maybe for the higher levels of society, it's not crucial, but for most of the public school students, for most of the families whose students go to public school, that is going to be very critical, especially in the next 6